Well, today I'd say this was kind of an interesting morning because I was up at 5 this morning because I had to be at work at 7:30. It's kind of a different kind of morning for me because I had to be up very early, just like I've been explaining to you all how this whole makeup day thing has been going. And so I was there a little early this morning because it's just one of those things where the good thing about it is I get to work with less distraction, get to do one task at a time. But I'd say we kind of, get up early like that so that she can kind of get us all out by a certain time and try to make it so we're not all just, let's say, coming in at different times and leaving at different times because it's like on a typical work day, I'm one of the last people to come in and we all leave at the same time. And on a day like this, one of our cleanup or makeup days, we all come in at the same time. But I'm one of those people who gets to leave earlier than everyone else. So that's pretty much the way we work about that. I do want to say that for one thing, I probably feel tired enough that from the extra work early in the morning that, for one thing, my arms are a little sore from all that cart cleaning I've been doing, scrubbing down those metal carts to get all the grease and gunk off of them. And then it's also just been one of those days where there kind of comes about little more to do, and so, you know, probably not in the mood to be all covered in dust from using this outside. So just decided I'd come on today just to make little demonstrations of how I'm going to go about this. And I'd say, what we did on the poplar little St. Nicholas's the other day, kind of do them on the African and genuine mahogany ones now. I do see there's little burn marks from the rotary tool. Think I will just get rid of those with a knife. Sometimes I think eventually there's going to come a time when just little marks like that are probably going to give it a rather more rustic look these days. And so I'd say that this is where we're going to come to take care of this part and see how we get little work make its way down to us. And so we're going to try to chip things away a little bit, try to make it so we're going to see a better little statue of a carving, and so this is how we're going to go about this. I say that we got probably little places we'll chip off here and there to make it go a little smoother. Try to make a little rounding around the face here because we need to kind of get rid of these little angles that are around the face. Think we'll probably be spending our video time taking care of this, getting those little burns off, because I tell you all, the rotary tool sure leaves them, and maybe this could just take a while longer, but it does kind of save us a little strength in our hands because you can do it entirely with a knife and it can take longer. Even the original instructions in the book talked about how to carve this with gouges, with big gouges where you kind of put it in a vise and gouge around here, gouge across here, dig through it with a big gouge, and so forth. But I tell you, I just kind of enjoy knife carving a little better. I'd say that it was just one of those things where the first time I did it, I was using little gouges, and for one thing, wasn't wearing a glove like I should have been, and got a little cut around here, and to that matter, kept a splint over my finger. We were trying to avoid having any more emergency room bills because we had already had a couple from the time I had started carving and gotten my bandsaw, so I just sort of decided to wear a splint on that and keep a bandage around it just to kind of hold it in place to keep it from bending. That was probably the only way I could avoid stitches in that situation. And sometimes also we just take little super glue that we use to cover our little cuts. That's kind of one of the things I learned when I first started. You know, super glue was originally intended for surgeries, and I'd say, you know, the way things change a bit, you know, these days we just have kids who put Gorilla Glue in their hair, and I mean, you know, times just change a lot, and like I'd say, it all started probably back in 2016 or 2017, something like that. Kids were starting to eat Tide Pods and things like that. Oh, the old stories we hear, things we do, and I think I might just go ahead, try to carve all these little burns away. This will make it a little easier for us because that way you save yourself the trouble of having too much to do with the knife. Makes it so you're only using the knife to do the detailed work and using the Dremel or the rotary tool to do the rough work. And that's probably how it works a little better whenever it comes to working on these much harder woods. You know, harder woods, they can take a lot into us and make us so we see little brighter ways. And so as for a little work we do, we're gonna take it on and show a little strength to the wood itself. Get rid of all these little lines and burns and stuff. And I'll tell you, sometimes little kids, you know, they don't always understand how things are going to work. They get little cuts on their fingers and they're afraid for you to give them any super glue because they just kind of get afraid it's going to burn them a little bit, you know. And I'd say for a little work I can do, that's great. I say in all things, you know, little things I learn about Revelation Rocks and the Jewel Art Gallery. That's what I was talking about the other day. There's a group on Facebook called Revelation Rocks, and this same young lady who owns the Jewel Art Gallery, she purchases those rocks and resells them. And I've attended a few of her live videos, purchased a few, but I will tell you, it's kind of in my state, but it's a long drive out there, so I've never been there before. It's in Ashland, Kentucky, probably over there close where Ashland Oil is. I tell you, and in my life, I once knew an old man who worked for Ashland Oil when he was alive. I was 18 years old when he died, and he was 87. He was a pastor of a church over there in West Virginia, over there close to where the state line is. And I'd say my family knew him a lot longer than I did. I probably talked to him a time or two at this church conference where I attended, and didn't get to know him well because probably spoke to him a time or two, and he was very memorable. For many years of my life, I always knew who he was, but never really spoke to him until one particular year, the year before he died. And we think about how there's people who they gone on to heaven before us, and we know we probably didn't get to see them or talk to them much while they were alive, but we know one day we're going to. My grandfather was the treasurer of that same mission work, and he was only 61 when he died. I was only 11 at the time, but I'd say we all just kind of got places where we all do different things in the kingdom, you know. I think I got rid of all the little burns on this one. Probably got a couple along the shoulder to get rid of here. Sometimes it can take a little while longer when you're doing stuff a certain way, but sometimes you can also, like I say, keep from making your hands too sore when you do it. Sometimes that makes it so it comes out as dust rather than chips, and makes it a little mess that you can either take outside or take into your shop, which even carving by a knife you can do as well. Like, I take my knives and gouges over to the Wood Carving Guild meetings where I kind of carve along with those. I say there's little places where we come along the sleeve cuffs, and so this is the work, the way it goes, the way it does. I say, oh, what a lot of time and effort we put into this. Makes things so they fly to the air, fly to us, see us how we all just kind of do what we do. And then I say that, you know, like work shall come and take its way down, and so by the work we do, I say, this is coming its way. Make it so we'll see a little better for ourselves what we're doing here. Finally get rid of all these little burn marks you see, and try to get it all away, away, away. Make it so we're getting little places done on here, and make how we see little brighter ways. I did see in my emails from the United vendors that there was one that was a Christmas in July one at a Clarion Hotel near here. I didn't sign up for it because probably got enough Christmas in July shows as it is, because I already got two, and they were kind of needing your vendor fee immediately, so it's like only 12 vendors would be chosen, so didn't bother with it. It would just be a lot of ways to go. Like to mention to you that when somebody came to have a meeting with us at work yesterday, they were drawing names and giving out these little Starbucks gift cards, and my name got drawn. I got one, and you know what I take with those is I take those gift cards and add them to my rewards account so that I can kind of use them to purchase more coffee, and so that's just the way I do those all the time. And I say that work is good. Not sure when I'm going to make it back in. Made back into McLeod's Coffee House today after it had been a few days. My work schedule was kind of rough and kind of different, but made it back in anyway, and so that worked out for the good. Tried to kind of move things around, attend to different things on different nights. I've watched some Dhar Mann videos, and they just kind of had a lot of good old meaning to them, I say. Finally get down to this last and get between these boots and try to make them so they can come out to be about the same width, because I got one that's a little wider than the other, and that's not the best thing for a pair of boots on a Santa, so we kind of got to work around it, make it so it's going to be bright and shiny and everything else. I say, here's how the work has come along on this. I don't see too many burn marks on this one left. Think I might get a few of them from around here, around the hem of the coat. Get rid of these little places. Make it so they're going to brighten the ways to us and see us in little ways we know. I tell y'all that this is just what we see from what we do and how we work it along the best way we can. I say that this is the work that's coming our way, and we see how with all things we can get rid of these little burns here. There's quite a few of them, but not as many as there were on the last one, and so this is how we kind of make it to come out just as it ought to be, I say, and then come down to where we're lighting it up, making it so it's going to be just a fancy little thing here. Kind of got the way to move it from around the ruffle of the hood, and so like a little detailed work don't hurt us much at all. Sometimes we can take things a little longer and save our energy about it. So didn't really know how many burns I was going to leave on this with the rotary tool, but come this way we're going to see these nice things. And I tell y'all, from a few followers on my YouTube, I've gotten some good comments lately. Some people have appreciated all my posts I've made, and so this is where a little faith comes in, where a little faith lies on us. And then, you know, as for how things will come along in a sooner or later way, I've got so much to say. Been getting a lot of compliments lately. Some of those girls who follow my posts, who get those messages from me, tell you they're pretty young and I'm pretty old, but they still say I'm so sweet is just ways that we work about these little things. And I say that this is just a beautiful bit of work. I say, tell y'all that there's just ways this shall come about, making us so we'll see brighter days, brighter nights. Oh, as for how this goes, you know, try to remove little wooden chips, and I say that this will be greater once we get it all done. I do know that a little work does us good sometimes. We all kind of enjoy a little time to ourselves, how we go about things. I think I've kind of gotten to where there's some little places about to go. Sometimes I even kind of use the knife to get rid of little pencil marks as well, because sometimes, I mean, the pencil marks need to go away too from the wood, and we get those with sandpaper as well. I'll tell you that when we come down to this, I say, looks like I've pretty much gotten all the little burns removed from the two that are of African mahogany. Surely I can come back and do a video where I can probably show the same amount of work with the two I have that are of genuine mahogany. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for watching, and take care.